Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. They used to say you can tell a lot about a person by their email address. And yes, I mean you with the @AOL.com email here in 2019. What are you thinking? Or equally, Yahoo.com, MSN or Hotmail.com are starting to show their age too. But today I've got a question for you. I want to know, what search engine do you use? So I'm going to ask for a quick show of hands. What is your search engine of choice? How many of you say Google? Whoa, overwhelming number of you there, scattered all over the world. What about Bing? Oh yes, not too many at all. Techies out there, DuckDuckGo? Oh, there's a handful of you too. And what about Yahoo? Oh, none of you. Maybe those days have well and truly gone. But seriously, did you know that Google controls 77% of all online searches? And by doing that, they're influencing trillions of dollars in spending, shaping our perceptions, and effectively acting as a primary gatekeeper to the internet. So my next question for everyone listening is, are you okay with that? Or does it not sit well with you? And today's guest is Colin Pape, and he's the founder of a company called Presearch, which is a decentralized search engine that rewards users for their searches in cryptocurrency. Presearch just hit 1 million users and launched its own browser extension, and has been showing incredible growth within the crypto and privacy-focused community. So I invited him on the podcast today so we can talk about building a better internet that doesn't track your every move in a creepy way. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Canada so we can speak with Colin Pape, who is the founder of Presearch and going to talk about what's wrong with Google, the rise of privacy-focused communities, and the future of decentralized search. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Colin Pape. I am the founder and project lead at Presearch, presearch.org. We are building a decentralized search engine, which is a pretty exciting project.
So I suppose the question I've got to ask before we begin is, what's wrong with Google? Because we will have people listening from both in and outside of the blockchain space. But just to get everybody on that same page, can you tell me more about how Presearch is hoping to change how people will search the web with an open source blockchain-based alternative to Google, and why that is so important to you guys?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And I mean, on the one hand, I think Google's done a really phenomenal job on the product side. Obviously, they have kind of captured a lot of usage on the internet, both in search as well as all the other properties they own: Gmail, YouTube, Google Maps, Android. They really have a super significant footprint because they've done a great job. So I don't want to take that away from them at all. But in the same respect, they do dominate the internet, and there is really a lack of kind of transparency. And there's, I think, so many barriers to competition, barriers to people switching to alternatives, that it's really kind of put the producers in the information space into an awkward position where you're kind of under Google's reign. And then from a consumer standpoint, they really, to some degree, have limited choice significantly. And then, kind of the ancillary to that is that, Google is extracting massive profits from communities all over the world and funneling them into Mountain View, California. And it's just not a really kind of egalitarian model. It's, more akin to, your traditional top-down models. And what we're trying to do is something that's, more ground up, where people can have more of an influence, where there can be really kind of multiple facets within the project that people can participate in and customize to really make it their own. We are really targeting power users to start, and then eventually we'll be going to more mainstream users. And then really kind of the key to it as well is because it's a token based project, we have a pre-token, which is an Ethereum ERC20 token that basically rewards people for switching their searches to Presearch, and then is also the primary currency used to denominate the marketing or sponsorship system. So we basically have the sponsors coming in, paying people for their attention, and then that is going directly out to the users. So there's a small percentage retained by the project, but really the vast lion's share is going directly to the end users and the other participants within the network, those that are operating nodes or curating content. So it's about just kind of more of a grassroots, ground up service, and trying to give people kind of the next generation of search engines, something that we can all dive in under the hood and kind of really see how it works and ensure that we're not getting censored results or filter bubbled results, and that we're not basically just being monetized where we are the product as opposed to the user, which is kind of the current paradigm.
It really is a fascinating topic, because I think we're seeing the rise of two conflicting areas at the moment. On one side, we've got the rise of personalization and giving people more of what they want, but we're also seeing the rise of privacy-focused communities at the moment. So can you tell me more about why you think the future of search is actually decentralized?
Yeah, I think that's a great observation. And I mean, personalization is certainly really powerful. But the way that we're approaching it, kind of our take on it, is more active personalization. So enabling people to set their preferences and easily change defaults and potentially even actually build on top of the service. So there's ways that you can build community packages. So if you are a subject matter expert, you can go in and actually add value, and that can be valuable to both yourself and other users. So it's I think kind of more of this participation based model, and then that really lends itself to privacy, because we really don't need to track people. We don't have all these different integrations. We're just doing search. We're not doing email, video, having the largest ad network in the world, the number one mobile operating system, all these different things that are kind of tied together, which end up encroaching on your privacy, because you're basically being tracked constantly. And there's just this incentivization to really monetize due to Google's corporate structure. They started off as a traditional business. They raised venture capital. The venture capitalists obviously need an exit. So the exit is, go public. In the process of going public, you basically wind up in this paradigm where your entire worth or the value of the entity and the effort is all around, profit and monetization. And so you've got this massive profit motive. Whereas for us, we're in this new space, this new paradigm, where it's aligning the stakeholders around a token. We can look at things besides profit. In fact, this is more of a non-profit type of project. We're really not out to make and extract billions of dollars. We're about returning value to the community, providing all different types of value, and goodwill is a really huge part of that value. And goodwill is really directly tied to privacy and how people feel about how you respect them within your ecosystem. And so I think, it's just kind of come to a point where it's actually creepy for people. They find that they're talking about a subject, and then all of a sudden they're seeing ads all over social media or on search results, and people are just starting to wonder, like, what is happening here? And then that's kind of being extrapolated to look at the future and things like the China social credit system, where now people are being limited from traveling or being limited from where they can live or work, or purchases that they make based on their social behavior, which is being tracked in all these different ways. And so I think people are just waking up to the fact that there's the potential for a really dystopian future if we don't start to do something. And unfortunately, putting all your trust into one of these centralized entities doesn't seem to really be the most prudent way to make that happen. It really does seem like, a decentralized project where there are multiple stakeholders that can influence the direction. The project founders and all the key team are accessible through things like Telegram communities. And you can really, as a user or a member of the community, have a direct impact and hold the project accountable. And, where a lot of these projects, Presearch included, we kind of put our values out there first. And we tell people kind of, what our values are. And we stand up for the things that we believe in. And then that's how we attract supporters versus just being focused on the product utility. I think it's a really interesting time to be both a user and a project.
Now, I recently spoke with Gary Vaynerchuk about this very topic, and especially with the rise of personalization. I asked him the question, do you think privacy is a fair trade for convenience? And I must admit, he did surprise me a little, because he said, for the most part, people don't care. They say they care, but they don't live it, and actually will always go with convenience or quality of product every single time. I mean, would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I think he's largely right, especially if you're talking about really, the mass market. I mean, a lot of people, they're just, they're not aware. Even if they are, they likely don't care. Even a lot of people who do say they care, like Gary said, at the end of the day, it's your actual usage patterns and your action that really is the thing that matters. And so it's definitely not trivial to change user behavior, especially with something like Google having such a rich product experience and having the world's deepest search index and having the lightning fast user interface and the 100% uptime, although they were down on the weekend. But they've done a fantastic job from that quality and that convenience standpoint, that it does really make it difficult to change the actual user behavior. That for us is why we've really focused on power users, the people that do care. Really, the primary product benefit to a user is that we enable them to actually search multiple search engines, and they can actually search Google through Presearch. So it's really a way to direct your query into the resource that you want to search. And so if you are online all the time and you're doing things like domain name lookups, or if you're looking at wallet addresses on Etherscan, or you're running searches on Twitter because you're doing social media stuff, it's actually just a faster way, the current Presearch interface, to do that than to utilize Google. So we're really trying to focus on that core demographic, the power users, and providing them utility that way. We're also appealing to the people who are really the privacy diehards, and there are a significant number of them, specifically within the blockchain space. A lot of the people who are the most aware, the most passionate, and people who will actually vote with their usage patterns in line with their ideals. And so that's kind of our beachhead strategy to build an audience. It's been successful so far. We've attracted more than 1 million registered users, and we've had some really great feedback. And then this whole token thing on top of it, where we're rewarding them with something that actually has financial value to them, is another key. And so it's about trying to make it as easy as possible, trying to involve them in the process, provide them with rewards, and then really the privacy is kind of the hot topic, and it's a really great talking point, and it's something that is really in line with our values and our platform. But it's kind of the icing on the cake, we feel, and something that we kind of give to the user or the member as a way to ultimately choose what do they want to share, how do they want to enable their usage to be monetized. It's currently in the infancy from Presearch, but that's kind of how we see it moving forward. So if people don't care and they just want ultimate convenience, that will be an option, but it won't be the default option.
And I'm glad you mentioned changing user behavior there, because, of course, if we go back a few years, Microsoft found out the hard way, that, especially with Bing, on how hard it can be to get people to move away from Google and onto a different search engine. So Getting those power users on board and indeed beyond that, how are you tackling that challenge of changing their behaviour? And for anybody listening as well, I mean, what would you say to them who's probably sat there listening on their commute to the office, probably saying to themselves now, why should I change my search engine? I mean, what would you say to them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there have been some efforts in the past. One of our advisors, Rich Skrenta, he built a search engine called Bleco. He raised $100 million to do that. Ended up having difficulty on the consumer side and really getting the usage, even though it was actually a really powerful platform. And he shared some anecdotal stories with me about how even though they had much better results in certain, verticals in particular. They really focused on health, for instance, and they thought, if they had this great user experience, the quality was better, that people would utilize it. And he said, it didn't matter really how good it was. It was about that UI, and it was even just the perception of goodness. That kind of emanates from Google. Everybody kind of anticipates perfection because they have done such a great job at satisfying the user from a product standpoint. And so, we went into this with our eyes pretty open. He basically said, building a search engine is ridiculously hard. And it's funny that you mentioned Bing, because we're actually currently leveraging the Bing API as part of the current Presearch engine platform, while we're building out all these other facets to it, because doing long tail search where you're having these obscure keyword searches is very difficult. And really Bing outside of Google is the only entity that's really done actually a really good job. And it's interesting, Bing is what powers DuckDuckGo, which is a privacy-focused search engine, powers another search engine called Ecosia, which plants trees as you search. And, there's kind of these niche opportunities that can still be very significant. I mean, Google generates, $100 billion a year in revenue. We're not aiming to absolutely dominate the internet, and certainly not overnight. We're really more about providing people with, the value proposition from the user standpoint, from the utility standpoint, enabling them to really be part of something that is, kind of at the ground floor, and enabling them to actually participate. We end up attracting just all these really passionate users who are now actually helping us build a community, improve the product. And because we have our ear so close to the ground, there's all these opportunities that Google's missing by just being mass market focused. So they are, basically serving vanilla search results to everybody. It's all the same. And what we're offering is something that is more, for the person who does care. They value search. They search often. They want to particularly be a part of the cryptocurrency space. So they're earning Presearch Tokens, which is a cryptocurrency, every time they search. And that to them has significant value. It's something that, is kind of an on-ramp to cryptocurrency. Makes it really easy for people to start to accumulate crypto versus, buying it or doing other projects. So that's really, currently some of the main reasons to search. And we do have, enough of a demographic of people that are just, upset with Google's dominance. Enough people have been wronged by them. That was kind of our first experience, really, that led us to this point. We ran into a situation where Google had blocked all of our sites, and we went through an antitrust investigation with the FTC Commission in the U.S., and it just opened our eyes to all the, tens and tens of thousands of producers on the internet that have been harmed really by some of Google's policies or updates. And that's actually a really significant demographic of people. They're trying to create change, and they're willing to, kind of use something that if it's not any, worse than Google, which is very easy to be. I mean, they're so good. It's at least different. And even some people don't like just change. But, for these people, they care enough that they're willing to put up with the change and then start to realize actually that there are some benefits that come along with using some of the alternatives. So I actually just read an article the other day about how even though people think that Bing, for instance, is a failure, it actually generates $7.5 billion a year in revenue, which dwarfs Twitter and a lot of other entities. So, in some respects, it's actually incredibly successful. But, you're competing against the 800-pound gorilla, and everything kind of seems like a failure compared to them. So I think it's just, starting to look at things with a bit of a different viewpoint and saying, hey, these guys are dominating the internet. We don't need to dominate, and we can still be wildly successful.
And your approach really does seem to be working too. I mean, a few moments ago, you said that Presearch had just hit, I think it was 1 million users, and you've also launched a browser extension too. And you've been showing incredible growth along the way with this crypto and privacy-focused community. So can you tell me more about that growth in your community?
Yeah, thank you. It's been definitely a wild ride. So basically, the project was launched in July of 2017. Then we opened up kind of a beta to our early users. It was a closed registration system. So we did that on November 9th, 2017. And just kind of had the organic, very minimal growth between then and May. We added about 15 or 20,000 kind of alpha users. And then we opened it up the beginning of April in 2018 and started seeing some additional signups. And then we launched a referral program where basically everybody who's a Presearch user has a link that they can share onto social media. And if somebody signs up through their link, then each person, the referrer and the referee gets 25 bonus tokens. And it blew up. And so, in a year, pretty much to the day, we signed up 1 million registered users, which is pretty much, it exceeds Twitter's early growth. It exceeds, there's a blockchain project called Steam It. It exceeds that growth trajectory. And because it's so easy to use, and we've really focused on, making it just easy to sign up, and then minimizing. So there's something called KYC in the crypto space, know your customer, which really forces people to provide all this information, their personal information, and we didn't really feel that was right due to the nature of the project, and so we developed this because there's obviously people trying to abuse the system and just collect tokens and whatnot. That's probably our number one ongoing challenge, but we invested very heavily in building out this anti-abuse system that would basically, without compromising anybody's privacy, just use these really kind of basic factors, but look over kind of a period of time and identify that abusive behavior. We've basically been able to, without introducing KYC, protect the integrity of the token and the value of the token from those who would abuse it. And so it's just like really easy for people to use. We've made it pretty frictionless, and so we're shooting. We're about halfway through the year now. We're shooting for 5 million users by the end of the year. We've basically done the million really actually without trying. We kind of didn't want that many users as we were figuring out the anti-abuse stuff. We went through some stuff where we just were getting flooded with people, and we didn't really even want anymore. But now we're in active growth mode. We're starting to really look at all the different go-to-market strategies. There's some really interesting ones. Google goes after the lowest hanging fruit for them, which is often quite large, and that leaves still some really significant opportunities that we can go after. And then really just this whole thing on Friday, actually, there was this new Justice Department antitrust investigation announced around Google, and so there's a lot of press opportunities. So we're working on those just to spread the word and anticipate that it will be one of the largest projects in the crypto space. If actually it already is, but we're looking to kind of broach more that mainstream level. I mean, as soon as you start getting into tens of millions of users, that's when things get really valuable for sponsors, marketers. And we're getting pretty aggressive at going after awareness and new growth.
Certainly sounds like great problems to have. And I think it's also a nod from that online community that you've created something that there's a real demand for when you're getting that kind of instant growth from the global community, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exciting, and it's yeah, it is a global project, which is neat. I mean, when we did our token sale, which ran from July to November of 2017. We had people from all over the world buying our tokens, which basically are kind of pre-purchasing advertising credits, very similar to Kickstarter, but for a digital project. And we had people from Africa. We had them from all these different nations that a lot of people might not think would have significant wealth to contribute to a crowdfunded project like ours. But we had people that were seeing the potential, and they wanted to be a distributor in their territory, or just wanted to support the project and see it come to fruition. And so yeah, it was really neat just attracting this global community, and there's a lot more that we're going to be doing to support them, particularly internationalization and of the project and ensuring that it's multilingual. But yeah, it's been a really wild ride the past 2 years. Very exciting.
So for anyone listening to us now thinking, I want to give this a run out, I mean, can you walk everyone through how to get up and running, and also the role of the crypto token, and just give them an idea of what to expect from their experience from the moment they arrive on your site?
Yeah, sure. So it's pretty simple to get started. You go to presearch.org, so presearch.org, and then you can create an account. It really just requires your email address and a password. And then as soon as you create that account, it takes you right into this tour of the system. So you can just literally step through next, and it'll walk you through how everything works. But essentially you go in, you customize your different providers. So by default, currently it actually searches Google. So we're enabling people to search Google through Presearch. We're trying to create kind of a very thin wedge in changing that user behavior, because we know how difficult that is. And so, they can then go in, they can choose any of the different engines. We actually have our own Presearch engine, which we're not currently making default. We're really ensuring that the user experience is as good as can be before we do make it default. But you can go in, you can choose all the different resources that you might search. You can customize the look and feel of it, so you can change your colors and some of the other settings. And then there's a browser extension that's really kind of the key to it. So if you're on Chrome, Firefox, or Brave, which is a really great new privacy-focused browser, you can go in and add the Presearch extension. There's two of them currently. One will set presearch.org as your homepage, and a lot of people like and use that. The other one enables you basically to replace generally Google as the search provider within the address bar and the search field, so that you can essentially just kind of have this seamless experience, very similar to what you would have regularly. There is an alpha mobile app available in the iOS store. So if you just go in there and search Presearch, there is an invite code, which is tap and hodl, which is a crypto term. It's TAPANDHODL, all one word, no spaces, no capitals. And it's more of a voice search app. We're testing out some really kind of interesting stuff there. It enables you to basically deep search apps that are on your phone. So I could say, Presearch LinkedIn for Neil Hughes, and it would launch the app and then run a search. And then we are launching as well some new Android and iOS browser apps that are very similar to just your native Chrome or Safari apps, but they use Presearch as the default engines. So yeah, super easy to get started that way. And then essentially, whenever you search up to 32 times per day, you earn a quarter currently Presearch tokens. So if you search 4 times, you've got a token. Those tokens currently they're valued somewhere between 5 and 10 cents. They are the currency that is used for sponsors who are looking to advertise on the platform. It's also, we're launching a new online store that has Presearch merchandise plus a bunch of other really cool things that people are going to be able to buy directly with their pre-tokens. Everything is pre-denominated, and you can essentially convert your tokens for that merchandise as well. And then over time, there's going to be some more interesting opportunities, basically ways that you can stake your tokens to essentially vote for different, product features and to essentially, have a voice within the ecosystem. So yeah, it's definitely a different paradigm than there is currently, where we're all just kind of digits within Google's ecosystem. Presearch is still small enough that everybody can have a pretty significant voice and impact on the project. And over time, we're ensuring that we're building out those governance models to ensure that at scale, we don't lose that ability for the community to really shape the project.
Well, I'm a big fan of the Brave browser too, so you've left me no excuse not to give it a try. So I promise at the end of this podcast, I will sign up and give it a try. And we often talk about how Google was built on simplicity, and that's something that Microsoft struggled to get to grips with when they originally launched Bing. So, I mean, how easy is Presearch to use? It sounds like it's aimed at both techies and everyone. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just using it by default, so if I'm a mass market user, and yeah, Brave is really it's the perfect fit because they're starting to turn on some reward programs where you can get rewarded for engaging with advertisers, and they protect privacy, and so it really is like hand in glove with Brave. So we have a ton of people that are downloading the Brave browser, they're protecting their privacy, and then they set Presearch as the default engine using the browser extension, and they can then go in and either use our engine or use DuckDuckGo, which is super privacy focused, even possibly a little more so than we are. And so for those types of users, or power users, where they're going in and configuring things that they're regularly searching, it is quite powerful. It actually does save you from basically creating bookmarks or searching Google to get to a different resource, and then once you pull up that resource, then searching it using the engine that's within that resource. This is a way to basically very quickly, from a single search field, it's like a federated search field, basically, you can direct your query into any of these different resources directly. So it is a big time saver for those types of users. But for other people who maybe don't care about some of that stuff, or they don't have that same need, and maybe they're even happy with Google, they can just go on, sign up, go to the browser, add in the extension, leave Google as the default search engine, and essentially every time they run a search, a little thing pops up, shows them that they get their token. It displays a very quick ad, which is kind of how that whole ecosystem gets closed. So the sponsor is essentially funding that token reward, and then it redirects them right to Google. So it's quite seamless, very easy to use. You don't need to be a techie at all.
Finally, a question I've got to ask is, what's next for Presearch? I mean, is there anything else that you can share with us today? I do appreciate you could be locked down to various NDAs, and you've got one side where your community is demanding updates, and two where you're locked down, which is obviously a bit of a challenge. But are there any teasers or anything else that you can share with us today?
Yeah, so I mean, right now we're very close. So on Friday we launched this ad unit for everybody, which has been really well received. And what's so cool about this type of project, where you kind of have this community based model, community driven model, is that people become stakeholders in the project. They want to actually see it thrive. So we launched this ad unit, and we tried to make it as quick and as unobtrusive and painless as possible, because we don't want to compromise the user experience. But we end up getting all this feedback from people saying, hey, the ad's too quick. We have to make sure that the sponsors get enough, visibility in front of people as they're being displayed. And it's just this totally different paradigm than anything else, where people are are kind of at odds with the service that they use. And so yeah, it's really exciting as the project evolves, just to start closing the loop on the token economy, because that's really kind of the key to ensuring that we have a sustainable project, and something where those who are collecting Presearch tokens are obtaining something of value. The current price or value is like I said, around 5 cents. But as the network effects grow, I mean, the value of that token could increase significantly due to there's a limited quantity of tokens, and essentially as that network grows, and the demand grows, and the utility value for the advertisers grows, there's more demand for the tokens. So it's kind of this rising tides lifts all boats type scenario. And so in the shortest term, we're focused on closing that loop. We're rolling out a new advertiser platform to enable a different level of self-service ads. And then beyond that, we want to ensure that people can, if they've collected tokens, they can obtain value from it. So we're building out this peer-to-peer marketplace. We've launched the first version of it. There's a second version still to come. But it basically enables people who've been collecting tokens to then connect directly with the sponsors and sell their tokens that way. We do have this mobile app that we are kind of in the final stages of testing on. We'll be adding in the rewards component to that. That's currently missing. These two new browser-based or app-based browsers that will have Presearch in them, which really makes it extremely easy to use on mobile. And then beyond that, a lot of it is really about figuring out the governance model, ensuring that the community has a voice and can steer the direction of the project, and then really internationalization and ensuring that we have all the different languages supported that we need to ensure that this is a truly global project. So those are kind of the short-term things that are in the roadmap. And then longer term, it is really about building out this framework that enables, for instance, people to run nodes on their computer, so that as they're searching and surfing the web, they're also crawling the web. They can then be compensated for contributing that information into an index. That index can be crunched by, again, a different level of node that runs on excess data center capacity to really produce the search results, and then giving the world kind of this framework where all these different contributors can participate. So if you are a subject matter expert, you're curating information, you can go in and create a community package about the topic that you are passionate about and really love. And then if people like it, it gets visibility, more visibility within the Presearch ecosystem, and then you as the creator would be rewarded with additional tokens. And so it's about trying to create that ecosystem. And, with what we know about Google, I mean, they're a massive company. They've got, a couple 100,000 employees between, full-time and contractors. But really, search is actually a fairly small component there. You might be looking at 10% of the company that's actually working on search. A lot of the rest are working on all the other Alphabet projects. And so, we look at this and say, man, eventually we could have hundreds of thousands of people, even millions contributing to this. And there may actually be a way to produce better results than what Google can do centrally, algorithmically, by enabling, real humans who are out in the world, who are most directly connected to these different subjects and problems, to provide innovative solutions and to contribute different user interfaces, for instance, that might solve the problem better than we could ever do centrally, or better than even Google could do centrally. So over the long term, we're pretty excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish.
Fantastic. And before I do let you go, could I just ask that you remind the listeners of where they can find Presearch online, and also join your community, and even contact a member of your team if they are left with any additional questions? Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Neil. So they can join at presearch.org. We have a Telegram community, which is a kind of a chat app. So if you go to, in your browser, t.me/presearch, that will give you the link and help you download the app. That is where we're most active, and that's a community-run channel. We're also on all the different social channels, so you'll find us on Twitter / Presearch News. We're on Facebook as well. If you just search for Presearch, Reddit, Bitcoin Talk, all those different channels. And then if you want to use good old-fashioned email, you can email support@presearch.io.
And on your Telegram channel, have the When Moon guys, have they landed there? Or do you manage to keep them out?
we a lot of people say that we have one of the best Telegram communities in the crypto space, because we have attracted really a bunch of people that are very passionate about actually solving the problem that we've set out to tackle. And so, those people come through sometimes. And the community responds and tells them, hey, it's about more than that. We're trying to, change the web. And so we've ended up attracting more and more of those people. But yeah, it's kind of inevitable in the crypto space. But, we do what we can to stay on topic and ensure that if, there's the speculators that want to come in, that, that they can go to a place to, have those types of conversations. We're more about trying to figure out how to build a better internet. So.
Yeah, you're so right in what you say there. There really is much, much more to it than that, especially in a world where one company currently controls, I think, 77% of all searches, influencing trillions of dollars in spending, shaping perceptions, and effectively acting as the primary gatekeeper to the internet. As soon as I read that on your site, straight away I'm thinking maybe we do need an open community-driven search engine. So I wish you the best of luck for the future. So please stay in touch. Let me know how Presearch continues to progress. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on the show today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss the project with your community. Thank you.
One stat that I just cannot get out of my head from our conversation there is how many of us deem Microsoft Bing as a failure. But Microsoft now generates $7.5 billion in annual revenue from web search advertising. And sure, that's nothing compared with Google's $120 billion in ad sales over the last 12 months. But it's important to remember that it's more revenue brought in by both Microsoft's LinkedIn Professional Network or the company's line of Surface computers and other hardware. That's before we even mention companies such as Twitter. So maybe Bing isn't such a failure after all. But I would love to hear how you feel about the future of search engines and everything that we covered today. Are you happy to trade your privacy for convenience? Or do you want something different? And if you do want something different, why? And will you also be checking out Presearch as a result? How this show works is I put my views across, the guest puts theirs, and then I hand a virtual microphone over to you. And I invite anyone to share their opinions about today's conversation, and I even offer an open invite to come on this podcast if you've got a lot to say on the subject. So if you do, please email me techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, or visit my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. Now, I'm going to add Presearch to my Brave browser, which if you've not heard about, you can find more details on my website too. But if you are concerned about privacy and looking for something different, I do recommend the Brave browser. But that's just me. So I'm interested in how the Brave browser will work with Presearch, and that's something I'll report back to you all on in the next couple of weeks, and we can continue this conversation. But that's it from me, so a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.